Welcome back, everybody. It's the real Big Three on In This League, and I think we're actually on time. We're on Friday. We're right around the normal time that we would do this, so we got it. We're here. We're ready to go. We're ready to rock and talk some basketball. I'm joined, of course, by Jonas Nader of NBC Sports Edge. Follow him on the Twitter at Jonas Nader, and Dan Bespris of hoop-ball.com. Follow him on the Twitter at Dan Bespris. I know, Jonas, your time is limited, so I'm gonna do the assist right to you, harden it right to you. So why don't you kick us off with the first of your three subjects, my friend?
Sweet. So originally I had Nickeil Alexander-Walker as like one of the best trade deadline stashes, and he was actually a loser when you think about it, because the Pelicans didn't really move anybody besides Redick. But it turns out Lonzo Ball has the worst hip injury in the world. We don't know if he's actually hurt or if he's just like, I don't know, sitting on the sidelines because he doesn't want to be on the Pelicans, because we've heard his dad say he doesn't want to be there. And
I can't listen to anything his dad says. I feel like that was the best part of 2020, was not having to listen to LeVar Ball, and he kind of hasn't resurfaced this year either until right now. So I think this is the first we've talked about him on this show, which, you know, going back a couple years ago, I mean, he was constantly brought up. So I'm happy to hear that, at least.
Yeah, maybe he's trying to get back on TV shows like ESPN just by saying that. So you never know. But I really like Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He's getting a ton of minutes. And do you guys think the Pelicans are tanking? Like all this Zion, Brandon Ingram stuff, Josh Hart sitting with a thumb injury, like, seems kind of shady, does it not?
I just think they're bad, and guys played themselves into injury trying to play too much, being bad.
Could be. Yeah, but either way you look at it, I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker is set up as a league winner. Now, when I say league winner, that means like a player you can get off the wire, like a streamer with benefits, like you said, that comes in and offers you top 75 upside, which gives you enough lift to get over the hump late in the season when half the players are injured. So over his last 2 weeks, he's at 20 points per game, 5.8 rebounds, 2.7 assists, nearly a steal, 1 block, and 3.8 triples. Really playing well, 48% from the field. Another thing, too, is if you're playing daily leagues tonight, how can you keep him out of your lineup, too? Just a small little tidbit here. With Zion and Brandon Ingram off the floor, we're talking about a superstar level usage rate near like 35. And his per 36 line in that time is 25 points, 3.5 assists, 6 rebounds, 2.3 steals, 1 blocks, and 3.6 triples. Those are some meaty numbers. So I am all in on Nickeil Alexander-Walker in DFS, and for the short term and maybe long term even as well. Like, I think he's going to be top 60 the rest of the way with how this is setting up. And remember, when Lonzo comes back, what incentive do they have to keep Bledsoe? They were offering teams a first-round pick to take his contract off, so I can't imagine them playing him. Not to mention they have Kira Lewis behind him as well. But yeah, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is set up for a huge finish. Do you guys agree with me here?
I mean, yeah. And, you know, it's funny because it's like one of the few times I agree with the per 36, because all these guys are hurt and he actually could get up somewhere near there. So I love that. I mean, maybe not 36, but you know, we'll see what he gets. But yeah, man, I'm absolutely with you on Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I think that you know, this is one of those sneaky moves at the end of the year that I don't think they're tanking, because they're only a game and a half back of that play-in tournament to get to the 10 seed or whatever. But if they lose a little more ground, I could see them tanking. So even though it doesn't do as much for you as it used to, it's still a strategy that's being used. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I also don't think they're tanking, but it is pretty weird that guys are just disappearing on that team. This one, their game tonight, which sort of dates and makes this particular statement less useful going forward. They knew the Hawks. This is the last game, I think, on Atlanta's 8-game road trip. I think they've been gone for like 2.5 weeks. So you sort of knew off a double overtime game that Atlanta was going to be sitting everyone. So I feel like the Pelicans decided, it's almost like they got together with the Hawks. We're like, all right, look, how about we just play no one for one more day? Well, I really want to see what happens in the Pels' next ball game. That's my data collection game. And if all these guys are still out with their rotating weirdo injury, because like Lonzo was supposedly close yesterday, and then now all of a sudden he's gone for both halves of the back-to-back. It's a little fishy. I'm on board with the fishiness. I need to see one more game where all these guys are kaput, and then I think you kind of have to. And then certainly to your point of like looking towards the future, he's part of their future, because Eric Bledsoe most definitely is not. Bledsoe, like, I don't know if he's just washed or if he just hates being there or what, but he's been a shell of himself. And so, yeah, streamer with benefits and streamer with keeper benefits also.
Yeah.
They all have LeVar Ballitis.
Yeah. It's weird. Like, I don't know exactly what the problem is down there, because there were stretches where they looked okay and like they played really well in nationally televised games for a while. They seemed like they kind of got up for the big ones, but they're not a good enough team to play down to a competition's level. They're still not playing any defense this year. So something's just not quite right. And maybe it was bad expectations. Maybe they set their expectations that they were going to be a really good team, when all of us on the outside were like, look, you lost Drew Holiday. You lost your best player. You're not getting better this year. Unless, can Zion lift you up and over that much? Probably not. But yeah, they're so close to that damn play-in thing. I feel like for a lot of teams like the Pels, the Kings, even just sniffing playoffs actually has a certain allure to it. So I don't think they're going into tank mode, but there is some fishiness going on.
For sure.
What's number 2, Jonas?
All right, Isaiah Hardenstein, who was set up for a big stream last week and didn't play because he wasn't clear from the trade, but the last 2 games, it's looked pretty good. Had a 5-point game where he struggled against the Jazz, but had 14 rebounds in that game with 7 assists, 1 block. The next game, he has 12 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 blocks with a triple in 20 minutes, and that was with Kevin Love back. Keep in mind that the Cavs are missing Larry Nance and Jarrett Allen, but once they do get back, like, there's some serious incentive to see what he can do, actually. But so I'm thinking Love's not going to be playing much longer, right? The first game back, the last time he played like 3 minutes, like, all right, my calf hurts. I'm going to sit up for 3 weeks. He's like, all right, I'm going to see you guys later. That SpongeBob meme, basically. But and they have Larry Nance, who they've experimented with Larry Nance at the 3, and with the lack of talent they have there behind Isaac Okoro, they could find a role of 20 to 25 minutes for Hardenstein pretty easily, because they don't want Jarrett Allen playing a ton of minutes. He's going to be a restricted free agent. They want to keep him healthy. So there is a path to value here. And if you look at his numbers for his career, he's a stat monster, man. Like, there's some serious upside here. I think he's one of those guys that's going to be super sneaky late in the season when the tank picks up speed. So he is definitely on my radar, and I'm definitely streaming him for the short term as well.
I was so disappointed when the Rockets just waived him. I mean, like, I think the dude has a ton of talent. So I'm absolutely with you. And like you said, I saw some people going, Kevin Love's coming back, so maybe we can dump Hartenstein. I was like, what? He's never going to play. Like, he's going to play 2 games and go out hurt again. Like, there is nothing that says Kevin Love is going to be a stalwart in this Cleveland offense. So I'm done with him. So I'm all aboard the Hartenstein train. You started it, Jonas, but I'm right there. I'm right there with the shovel throwing coal in that in the stack for you too. So I love it. I don't
think I started the Hardenstein train though. I think Adam King started it actually from Hoop Ball.
Yeah, you know what? It probably was. It probably was.
I think it was.
He asked. I think he asked it in our chat.
Yeah.
Last week.
Okay, that's what it was. And then you gushed. You gushed about him. So it was Adam. You're right. So credit where it's due. Thank you,
my guy. Yeah. So hey, look. I mean, simple answer on this one is, if a guy's streaming and he's playing well, don't just abandon ship. And if your fear is Kevin Love,
exactly,
your fear is misplaced. Your fear should be Larry Nance and or Jarrett Allen.
It's like fearing a jellyfish when you're surrounded by great whites. You know what I mean?
Like, but it stings. The white will kill you. I won't feel anything after the shark eats my body. I don't want it to get stung first. That's just mean. I mean, like, Allen and Nance would be the guys that would push him out. Love, if he plays in every game or every non-back-to-back the rest of the way, I'll still be floored. He's not playing in back-to-backs. And they're going to be super cautious with his minutes. It's going to be 20, 20, 20, 22.
Yep.
Like, maybe he gets into the mid-20s by, I'm looking at my calendar here, if you guys wondering what I'm staring at, like 2 weeks from now. So yeah, and there's our guy Adam, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
I was kind of like, it might be early. I have no idea what time it is in Australia. So.
Wait, I know this.
Is it 7 hours?
I think it's 5:30 a.m. there right now.
Oof,
is that possible? He'll fill it in. So yeah, man, don't drop in advance. This is like the Enes Kanter thing. Don't drop until the minutes shift.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, easy. Yeah, that's an easy one. What's last for you, Jonas?
All right, so the next guy I got is Hamidou Diallo. So he was a huge I can't say trade deadline winner because he was traded before the deadline, but the Pistons called Hamidou Diallo a core player the day after the trade, and apparently their GM actually was in OKC with Diallo at one point too. So Troy Weaver is a huge fan. That was their number one target actually for their first trade because they're really wanting athleticism, and he has it too. This is a guy with a 44-inch vertical at the combine, so this guy can jump through the roof. Really excited with what I saw in the last 2 games. 19 points. Sorry, I'm pulling up stats now.
It's a
19
lot.
points. Yeah, 19 points, 8.5 rebounds, 3 assists. So has really taken a leap in playmaking. We saw it in OKC as well. Really good playmaker now. 1 steals, 1.5 blocks, 1.5 threes, which isn't sustainable. He's below 30% for his career. But one reason I like him is he has like kind of a weird stats that like he barely takes threes. So most of his shots are at the rim. So his field goal percentage is super high for a guard. So a weird fantasy stat set, but it works, right? So I think there's top 80 upside here. I am not worried about Killian Hayes coming back. I think he's like ranked outside the top 400 this year. That's how bad he was before the injury. So we are not picking up Killian Hayes. Diallo's going to get big minutes. Now he has been resting in back-to-backs, but that's going to change obviously. So yeah, very excited about him. I think he's been on a top 40 run actually in his last 2 games. So a lot of upside here. What
do you think of Diallo, Danny?
Yeah, my great fear with him is the threes and the free throw stuff. But you have to sort of well, first of all, in points leagues, he could be an absolute behemoth the rest of the way. Because he will go bananas with his usage, and the Pistons have every reason to sort of check out the young guy. I think you have to add him in category leagues also, even if there is that fear that he could go like 4 for 10 at the foul line or without a 3-pointer. Because they're going to use, I mean, they just move guys out of the way to get him all of these minutes. They're being really cautious with him. He's on a minutes restriction. I don't know if that gets lifted anytime soon. And if it does, then you're looking at even more upside. And he strikes me as the kind of guy that could, with usage, kind of overwhelm his bad free throw percent with good scoring, rebounding, assists, steals, blocks, that kind of stuff. So, 100%. Add him. And then in points leagues, you just start him immediately. In category leagues, if you want to play a little more cautious, you could keep him on your bench for a game or 2 and see what happens. But he seems to be someone the Pistons want to get a good look at. So absolutely.
I like the streamer with benefits for him because, if he should get all the way over this groin injury, the Pistons are tanking. So why not see what you got? You know what I mean? And let him play some minutes. But if he tweaks it again at all, because they're dead last in the East, I wouldn't be surprised to see the total shutdown either. So he's a little dicey of an ad, but pick him up right now while he's hot. Go do that. And if he gets hurt again or whatever, or they're limiting him too much, you can always toss him. So I like that one.
Before we move on, shout out Jaden McDaniels. Huge week. He actually won me a couple weeks in my league. So very excited about him.
What did you think about KD's DMs, Jonas?
You guys are gonna have to fill me in. I had no idea this happened. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so I guess KD and Michael Rappaport have been going back and forth at each other, and KD said meet me here at this time and some other unflattering things to Michael Rappaport. And then I don't know, man. Like if Michael Rappaport is gonna talk to these guys like he's buddies with them, and then act like a Karen. He's so offended of what KD said. You know what I mean? I don't know. It was what KD said definitely was not right. But I don't know. I thought Michael Rappaport might have been being a little bit of a baby about it too. So Dan, did you see that stuff, or did you just
I didn't read the whole exchange?
I
just assumed that Michael Rappaport was glomming on and KD said something stupid to call him out for being kind of a little, let's call him a pain in the butt.
Yeah,
that's
like a good
all
one.
over NBA stuff. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, why do you? I don't know. I always get this feeling like he feels like he belongs in all of it, like he deserves to be part of all the NBA festivities, and that happens with a lot of guys. And then I'm watching, I'm like, what really? Like, what did you do to earn you this spot?
Well, isn't there a saying like
and so on and so forth?
Every musician thinks they should be in the NBA, and every NBA player thinks they should be a musician. Like there's but he's an actor, so he's not a musician at all.
Not a very good one either. He was good in Prison Break, but that was about it.
I don't think I ever saw Prison Break, but
it's a good show.
He's funny. Michael Rappaport can be funny, but he can also be a little bit much. And I think this is one of those cases where he's being a little bit much. But I'll throw it to you, Dan. What do you got for this week?
Well, thank you to Bogman for filling my stuff in as I was driving and trying to let you know what topics I want to discuss. Last week, we talked a little bit about what was going on in Houston. I feel like we can kind of do something of a rehash here. You put Bogman on our list here that we work off of. You put Kelly Olynyk victory lap, but I don't think I was 100% locked in. And I feel like we were all
No, you were. You called it, dude.
You were
called
pretty
it,
in
dude. You
on
said
Kelly.
Olynyk's going to feast, and you were right, dude. We're giving you credit.
All right, fair enough.
Take the victory lap.
That's right. That's right.
You guys know I love me some Kelly Olynyk. I guess my question there was, what was his role going to be
when Christian Wood came back?
Right.
Yeah.
And he still got his 25 minutes, which for him is generally enough, especially now on a team where if he's not playing as well, he probably still gets his 25 minutes. With the Heat, if he had an off night, Spo would just sit him down after 11 minutes. That was just it. Like, if you're not locked in, if you're feeling woozy or whatever, I mean, it's a long season. I get it. In Houston, it's just that he's got the backup center minutes. He's got some of the backup power forward minutes, and he's a fantasy darling because he does basically all 9 categories, and that's hard to find. So even if you are okay in all 9, you're basically like a top 75 kind of guy. He's behind that. But he seems like almost a lock to be inside the top 110. And then there's a little bit of upside because Christian Wood is probably not playing back-to-backs, I would think. But, maybe we get surprised and we get more games out of Wood than I expect. But really, I'd like to transition this topic to ask you guys about kind of what's to come in Houston. It feels like we are now last week, we weren't really staring down the barrel of the shutdown, even though we all knew it was coming. The question was sort of at what tempo. Bogman, this is your land, sad though it may be right now. John Wall, does he come back here? Is this the end for him? This latest knee issue? Kevin Porter Jr. now as the point guard. Daniel House, is there any upside there? How are you rolling things out here with Houston the rest of the way?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be shutdown city pretty soon. Usually we want to call Houston clutch city, but this is going to be shutdown city pretty soon. So I think John Wall is going to go the way of the dodo for the rest of the season at some point here. And, look, it's those guys you mentioned, right? It's Daniel House. It's Kevin Porter. It's Deshaun Tate. Deshaun Tate's been pretty good, especially over the last 2 weeks. He ranks like, I think 55 and a 9 cat, just looking at our former RIP Roto World, now NBC Sports Edge League that we're in. So, and he ranks 55 over the last couple weeks. Wood is 68. Like you said, Kelly Olynyk 97. So inside that top 120. So House is going to get some looks. I mean, look, DJ Augustine's getting some minutes, guys.
Oh God, here we go.
Very deep league.
All right, let's just break the show so we can talk about Augustine and Corey Joseph and do the whole tour.
You guys, I don't know that I've seen a harder eye roll on Corey Joseph than when I mentioned him last week.
Good. He's
been pretty good.
Yeah, you can rub it in our faces hard right now. You go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to do that because as soon as I say anything super positive, he'll go right back to being a bench player. You know what I mean? So no thanks on that. But yeah, look, these guys have some roles, but it's going to be dicey in Houston. They're going to play super young guys. And I think Tate is really, all you need to know from this team. And he's still under 50% owned. He's 44% on Yahoo. So he's available in most leagues to pick up.
That's weird. Jonas, my good man.
Yes. I think the player to watch in Houston, I'm with you on Kelly Olynyk. I think it's going to maintain that 25-minute role for now. But I think the player I'm watching, everyone knows about Kevin Porter Jr. He's obviously early round upside. But KJ Martin Jr. seems interesting to me. Kind of has the same stat set as Derrick Jones Jr. with the high blocks and decent steals, high rebounder as well. Can't shoot threes, but talk about a player who could break out late in the season when they really dial back Christian Wood because they're tanking hard. I think KJ Martin is the player to keep on your watch list.
I tell you what, I'd like to see DJ Wilson get some minutes too.
I would too. Yeah, he's
just a fun player to watch. Seeing him the last couple days, the last couple games with the Rockets has been fun too. So I'd like to see him get an expanded role. But that's not a guy you go pick up. You wait to see if he gets those minutes. Obviously.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So I think where we're at with the Rockets is like you really got to watch him every night. You got to watch him every night.
I mean, you don't have to. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
So I don't want to watch them every night. Dude, look at their box score every night, for God's sake. And that's why I'm thankful baseball's back, so I don't have to watch this misery every single night. It's not fun for me.
Okay, no more Rockets. You're free. Let's go back to Pistons land, because I think I had them on my list last week, and that needs an update also. For one, just said it a second ago, Corey Joseph has actually been pretty good lately. Dennis Smith Jr. was cleared yesterday, but didn't play, which was one of those like, well, he's available, but obviously he's not healthy quite yet. Killian Hayes is on his way back, presumably. We're still getting plenty of Jeremy Grant and plenty of Mason Plumlee. Sadiq Bey is sort of, and Hamidou Diallo, who we just talked about earlier in the show. Those guys seem to be getting some pretty good chunks of minutes. I'm of the opinion, and you guys can feel free to tell me I'm completely bonkers, but I actually am kind of stashing Dennis Smith Jr., although it's hard because we haven't really known what his status was until there was some kind of positive movement yesterday, it seemed. But if he actually gets back and healthy, I don't like, he strikes me as someone that could be a pretty good difference maker right now, and nobody's really paying attention to him because he's hurt. So Jonas, I'll go to you on this one. Pistons backcourt. Outside of Diallo, is DSJ a guy you're looking at? Would you add him early? Would you wait until he actually gets into a ball game? How do you play that one out? Because maybe I'm a little bit over enthusiastic.
No, I'm with you. Like, I don't think I'm stashing him right this second. I'd like to see what happens when Killian Hayes comes back tomorrow, and then we'll see. Maybe it'll be too late. You never know. But if you want to, sure, that's fine. But Casey has done this before. DSJ was available yesterday, but after the game for the second time, he was available and didn't play. He said conditioning. So I think we'll see him next game. Casey has said in the past that he's open to 2 point guard lineups, which is what's going to happen with DeLon and Killian Hayes when he got back, but DeLon was obviously traded. So I think we can see some DSJ Killian lineups, because DSJ, unlike the previous years, he's actually one of their best defenders right now. So really good defender this year. He has some range to his game now, so he can coexist. And there's a chance he starts over Killian. I don't think that's even a hot take anymore, because yes, Killian's a great long-term prospect, but he was brutal before the injury too. So if he can get 25 minutes, I think DSJ is a top 100 player. It just remains to be seen if it actually happens. But I'm with you.
I don't know about DSJ. I'll roll with you guys. You guys know better than me. But I'll tell you what. I am way more tentative on him than you guys. Like, he's had so many chances and he's never made anything out of them. Like, he could have been big with the Knicks, and he's been nothing. So
but this year is the first year he looks good in the eye test.
Okay, if you say so. I feel like the opportunities have been there for him to make an impact, and he hasn't stepped up to the plate. So I'm more tentative than you guys. But look, if Dan and Jonas are suggesting it, then I'm on board. So
not completely, only a little bit insane, but not completely.
Right. Yeah, crazy. Exactly.
All right, my last one is a big swing, man. This is my home run cut here. I think that if you are, and I wouldn't do this if you're like cruising in first place, and I don't think you can do it if you're in a head-to-head league and you're in like 6th place and hanging on for dear life. But if you're in a games cap format, or if you're kind of middle of the pack in your head-to-head league and you're looking at the teams up above you and thinking, man, even if I got to those teams in the playoffs, they're going to spank my poor club. And I say it's time to go buy Anthony Davis. He's disappeared. He's been off the map for how long has it been now? Almost 2 months, I think. But he's very slowly working his way back. And I think the Lakers want to get him in some ball games before the actual playoff starts. Whatever that happens to be. 25 minutes. It doesn't need to be 32 because he's AD. He can be very good in 25 minutes anyway. So I say, Roto Games Cap, head-to-head middle of the pack. Go lob like a top 55, 60 guy out there. I bet you can get Anthony Davis from a team that's been sitting on him and doesn't think he's ever coming back.
Yep.
That's my insane take for the day. Bogman, I think you're first on this one. Too insane? Not insane enough. I don't know. There's something in the middle there, right? I've lost track of what
so here's where I am with this. I think the idea is good, but I think that you have to be a pretty good team. Like, you got to be a team that's getting a bye week in the playoffs, because that is like,
I wouldn't do it there. I wouldn't blow up a good team.
Well, I wouldn't blow up a good team, but if you're like far and away number one, I think that's when I do it. Anything else, I don't think I'm messing with it, because I mean, what is getting him into games shape? Like, they're not going to bring him back too much before LeBron comes back, right? Because they want to get those guys rolling together. So I don't know about that. So I I don't think it's too insane because AD is a number one player when he plays, right? So trading a top 50 player for him, regardless of when he comes back, could be a smart move, right? So I'm never going to say that trying to acquire AD before the season is over because he's supposed to be back is insane. But what I will say is that I think it's dicey because I think that the Lakers could, just say, hey, look, LeBron's not going to come back. AD is coming back slower than we thought, if that's something that happens with him. And why the hell would we even bother? Let's just play him the last week and a half and then roll into the playoffs with them. They're going to have an easy team probably. Well, maybe not in the West, but I was going to say they might have an easy matchup in the first round, but probably not, to be honest. So I think the intention is to get them back, at least 3 weeks before the playoffs, but I don't know if it's going to work out. So I'd say this one's a little dicey for me.
Bogman's going too crazy. What do you got, Jonas? Too crazy?
I'm with Dan, and I'll tell you why. I have Davis in a keeper league, and I can't trade him for anything. I have asked every league manager in my league about, do you want Davis? What would you give for me? I've got nothing, man.
Wow.
People are off Anthony Davis. You can get him for pennies on the dollar right now. And this is a player who's, you could argue, the second best player of the last decade in fantasy basketball.
I know. Right? And you can't trade him away for in a keeper league?
No one thinks he's coming back. And he's been warming up on the court for a week now, looking good, shooting,
why
jumping.
aren't the teams that are out of the playoffs trying to get him from you, right?
Yep. It just makes no sense. So I think he might be the best. I don't know if your trade deadline's passed in our leagues, but if it's not, he might be the best buy low option right now because the Lakers can't afford to slide in the standings. They're matched up against the Denver Nuggets right now. You think they want to play the Nuggets in the first round? Hell no.
No.
So
nobody should.
Yeah, exactly. So they're going to be trying to win some games here. They don't have really the luxury of resting him anymore. They may, like Dan said, play him like 28, 29 minutes, but outright resting him, unless it's against like the Cavaliers or Pistons, I don't think they can do it. They're not good enough right now.
Let's get weird.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Anthony Davis is so hurt all the time. And I know that's probably what is that's obviously what you just said, Jonas. And that's why it's been hard to trade him. So maybe I'm a little too far into that camp. But I don't know. This is a case where maybe the two Lakers fans are looking at this a little too close. So it could be,
I usually dodge Lakers in fantasy. I tend to, at least.
I only take Rockets when they're bad. So,
you got so many right now, though.
I have all of them. I have all of them right now. So,
man,
I do have a lot of Porter and Martin shares, so that's nice. But all right, is that 3 for you, Dan? Is that everything?
Yes, sir. That's the Danny boat.
All right, so here we go with mine. Number one, Wendell Carter Jr. seemed to have broken out last night. He got the 30 minutes. He had a good line, but it was with Birch out sick. I don't know, man. What do we think of Wendell Carter Jr. moving forward, Dan? Is this the breakout for him, or is this he had a good game? Let's not look too far into it.
I'm going to go somewhere in between with my assessment of what that game was. He was part of a unit that was playing better, so he got additional playing time. But he was always a guy that, if you picked him up at the trade deadline, which you should have, you had to know that it was going to take a little bit of time, that they were going to have to try to teach him all of their defensive rotations and schemes and how they play everybody else, and then offensive stuff. And so there's a lot of working him in, but he is... he's the guy to take a chance on for them. They know what they have in Khem Birch. They know what they have in Mo Bamba, and clearly they don't like it that much. If they did, he would have been playing more by now. So This is the sort of unknown shiny toy, but you can't just throw him out there for 32 minutes on his first game, because they still want to actually look like a competent basketball team, which is kind of amazing, actually, that they continue to seem competent on a nightly basis. So yes, I think this was the start of something for him. I think you actually probably see, I know the mirror image on the video we're doing here, so I'll go backwards for me. You're going to see this trend line that's going to do these sort of dips and peaks, but overall, you just need the slope to be coming up this way. So I'd say hold on to him, understand the next one probably going to be worse, but upward trajectory is what you're looking for. You hope he's really good maybe 7 to 10 days from now.
Jonas, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with Dan. I think opportunity is greater than talent here, but that's fine. Sometimes fantasy is about opportunity. And with Bamba, like I think Bamba's the more exciting fantasy prospect, but he can't play more than 20 minutes. Like he physically can't. He gets tired after 6 minutes on the floor. So I don't think they want to play Kim Birch because A, he's not very good. B, he's kind of old, right, for the rebuilding Magic. And there's just no incentive to play him. So Wendell Carter Jr., 28 minutes, Bamba 20 minutes going forward sounds reasonable to me.
All right. I mean, he's just been so disappointing.
Yeah, I'm just not convinced he's good.
Yeah. So I'm trying to see if you guys will convince me that he's going to do something. You guys are like, we'll see. You know,
hold on.
Not very inspirational here.
Our favorite player passing him the ball right now. So how good can he be?
How about over the last 30 days, Robert Williams ranks ahead of Gobert, Towns, Porzingis, and Bam. He's obviously not ahead of these guys for the rest of the season. But what about like Zion? Zion's been dealing with the thumb. You know, the Pelicans, like Jonas mentioned before, in this, are they going to tank? Are they going to go for it? Kind of middling area. What are you guys thinking about Robert Williams for the rest of the year versus Zion? Would you go Time Lord or Zion, Jonas?
Still Zion for me, and that's with me knowing I think Robert Williams is probably top 30, top 40-ish going forward because the Boston struck out at the trade deadline. They struck out in the buyout market. They didn't get Aldridge. They didn't get Drummond. They got no one except Fournier, of course, the world's best player. But yeah, very excited about Robert Williams. There's a clear path to 28, 30 minutes here. The reason Brad Stevens said in the season that he held him back was he wanted his minutes to peak later in the season. So they're keeping him fresh for a reason. His minutes are going to keep going up. And like you said, last 2 weeks, he's 39th in 24 minutes. You add 6 more minutes to that equation, and he's a borderline first rounder because the key here is we all know about the block rate. We all know about the steals. He's really good steals for a big man as well. But 3.1 assists in 24 minutes. He's a really good passer.
What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think was it 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when on this show we all agreed like his hype was high and it wasn't high enough. You needed to go out there and you needed to spend through the roof to get Time Lord. That particular question, I'm gonna go Time Lord.
Oh,
yeah, I'll
nice.
get weird here. You know, honestly, if someone proposed that trade to me, I might wimp out if it was my own team. It's much easier to say in this sort of vague, ethereal sense. You know, because Zion is just so very consistent, and if he's healthy, he's going to play giant minutes, and he's actually shown himself to be a much better fantasy player this year than any of us, I think, had expected. I know certainly I didn't.
Well, yeah, at the beginning of the season, I think we all kind of crapped on Zion. So
we did, yeah.
He has been much better than we all expected, for sure.
Yeah, he fixed, I don't say fixed, but his free throw shooting got a lot better, so it wasn't that just colossal drag every single night. He's at 71% now, which, like, yeah, he's pulling you down, but he's also one of the best field goal percent impact players we've had in the NBA in forever. So, yeah, I mean, I lean Time Lord, actually. Zion feels like top 50 is probably kind of where he's going to peak out for now, and with Robert Williams, there's actually room above that. If he plays 25, 26, 27 minutes, he could be a top 25 guy. Mm-hmm. He's like Jonas, you talked about his passing. His passing's been great for them lately. So
yeah.
Time Lord. That was the thing we tried to impart on everyone 2 weeks ago. Overpay for him when he was ranked 70th because you're going to get somebody that's going up 2 to 3 to 4 rounds over the next little bit. So yeah, there's my hot take. I'm going nuts today on this show. All the crazy takes are me. What's happening?
We always say Dan the crazy one. You know, Dan's usually the most conservative one, especially in drafts, as far as fantasy basketball goes, of course. But it's Crazy Dan Day. I like it. So.
And the last guy you have on your list is like the ultimate Dan guy, and I'm probably going to poop on him.
Well, not in front of me, please. But I think I'm going with Zion slightly, but I think it's close. That's why I put it together. You know what I mean? I think if the Pelicans do, try to get that last play-in spot and really push for it, Zion's going to have to be a huge part of that. So that's why I would lean towards him slightly over Time Lord, but it's going to be close between him and Williams down the stretch. So, but my last one, just so you guys can kind of fill me in, because I look at this and I go, I don't know. Let me ask these guys about it. This front court in with Brooklyn, Jonas, LaMarcus Aldridge got 30 minutes. That's not going to happen every night. So what should our realistic LaMarcus Aldridge expectation be moving forward here?
I think we saw a big line from Aldridge because the Nets didn't have Durant, they didn't have Harden, so they slowed it down, played a lot of half-court offense last night. The Hornets were double-teaming Aldridge, which was weird, but he actually showed some really nice playmaking out of it too, so he looked really good last night. But yeah, realistically, I think we're looking at 24 minutes here for Aldridge as a best-case scenario when you factor in Durant's return and all that good stuff. And the reason why is because they still have to find Nick Claxton 24 minutes. We've heard me talk about him all season, so I don't want to just go over this again. But the reason why, his net rating this year is 15, plus 15. With DeAndre Jordan on the floor, it's a negative 0.7. So pretty glaring there. And remember, when they have Durant and they have Harden, they have Kyrie all playing, they're going to run, right? They've been scoring like 125, 130 points a game with those three on the floor. And that's why they need Claxton.
They just sat Jordan last night, right?
Yeah, he's out of the rotation. He's not going to be in the rotation anymore. It's Claxton's world.
He only got 14, though, last night.
Yeah, that's fair. But he also had some foul trouble early on, and they didn't really need him last night. It was Aldridge's debut. They really hyped him up in his debut, too. So,
Dan, don't be too hard on my guy here.
No, actually, I was just going to laugh at how apparently this buyout was the one that was the straw that broke a camel's back for the buyout market. Yeah. Have you guys watched LaMarcus Aldridge Listen, I love LaMarcus Aldridge. I draft him all the time. I've been disappointed this year after sort of winning that one for like a half a decade in a row. Dude, he's old now. Yeah. He's not the guy that's going to put them over the top. The guy that's going to put them over the top was already on the team, and it's one of the three superstars. This doesn't. Anyway, those minutes are getting split. When Kevin Durant comes back, that's 30 some odd minutes that have been getting squeezed into the Jeff Green and the Aldridge and the Blake Griffin and the Claxton and the DeAndre Jordan buckets. And as everybody keeps coming back, it's just going to get tighter and tighter. And it ain't going to impact Harden or Durant or Kyrie or even Joe Harris, really. So that leaves not that many minutes for a hell of a lot of big guys. I'm avoiding that situation altogether. This is, by all accounts, an opportunity to sell LaMarcus Aldridge. If you can get somebody to buy him for even like a top 85, top 90 guy, I'd take it.
Yep.
Yeah, try to flip him right now while these guys are out. A couple of listener questions before we go. This one is ETH Hype. He's wondering if he should offer maybe Moses Brown another player to get one of AD or Tobias Middleton or Siakam. You guys think that's a fair deal? Dan, I'll start with you.
Sorry, I was you put it up on the screen. Sorry, I was trying to find it in the chat, and then I realized you.
I got you.
Anthony Davis or Tobias Middleton, Siakam.
That's for Moses Brown plus another player.
So are you attempting to get one of these guys? Yeah,
I would get one of these guys for Brown and one other smaller role player guy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I love Moses Brown. I like, we've talked about him a lot on this show. I have him almost everywhere, thanks to Jonas talking about him when he was in the G League. But I also think that because he's such a monster hype guy right now, you could turn him into a top 40, top 30 kind of guy, and you kind of have to. So yes, I agree with Dan. All of them. Yes to all of them.
Yep.
That's hard to hear Jonas say that he would trade Moses Brown, but I'll accept it. I mean, you're getting a star.
This is peak value, so we've seen him with 30 minutes. So
I got him in a keeper league that I'm very excited about. By the way, that's one where I'm not trading him away for Tobias.
How about this one from I don't know, a guy named Adam King, and we'll start with you on this one, Jonas.
Oh,
if you guys get to this
train, I know that guy.
What are your thoughts on Bogdan the rest of the way?
He's gonna have a monster game tonight if he's not too tired. He played 45 minutes yesterday.
I know what is going on with him. 45 minutes, and then it was 37 the night before, 23-21 the other nights. This is nuts.
Hawks are missing a bunch of people right now. DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish should be back soon. Hunter's knee keeps flaring up. His knee swelled up 3 times already, so that's very troubling.
Yeah, maybe he did come back a little too early. Maybe the 6 to 7 weeks was right. Yeah, with the first one, maybe they brought him back a little too early. Everyone was like, "Oh, look, he's coming back 5 weeks out instead of 6." maybe the 6 was right.
Maybe they can take some notes from the Grizzlies and keep him out for a couple years, right?
Oh my God. Yeah. No, well, we don't want to go that extreme. But,
yeah. Had to fit him in the show sometime, right?
Right. Had to wedge him in there. What do you think, Dan?
Oh man, yeah, I don't know. He's getting a lot of run right now, so you might as well just roll with it and see what happens. Like this is one of those ones that to me is easy because you just stream him. You got a great opportunity, especially tonight, because Trey's out, right? Didn't we get that report like right before we signed on? So yeah, and then just roll with it. It's a potential streamer with benefits situation. We don't know what Cam Reddish's timeline is. We don't know if Hunter might just get shut down. And I think Lou Williams actually did finally play a little bit here, but it doesn't know. I don't know that they're trying to ram him into a ton of minutes either. So yeah, I mean, Bogdan needs to be a relatively high usage, high minute guy to hit that mark because his fantasy game is a little weird when he's not kind of controlling things. But yeah, I mean, if he's playing 30 some odd minutes, then absolutely pick him up, roll with him, and if it falls off, you drop him.
How about this one here? What about a head-to-head 12-team head-to-head points league? Rank these for the rest of the season: Boucher, Wendell Carter Jr., Roby, or Noel. Jonas, what do you got on that?
I have Boucher number 1 real quick. The rest of the 3 are pretty close to me, so I'm not even going to bother there. Boucher for one reason. Right after the trade deadline, when they asked about Kyle Lowry, Masai Ujiri referred to this first-round pick 3 times in one paragraph. He said, "We're going to use our first-round pick to shape our future." If that's not the most obvious tell that you're going to be tanking down the stretch, then I don't know what is. And Boucher, like I wrote that Nick Nurse is playing against him in his hometown fantasy league because I think it's true. We've seen this before, like 3 times where he's pulled his minutes back. For some reason, Boucher is the only player that Nick Nurse seems to complain about, yet Siakam can throw a tantrum in the locker room, play the next game. Aaron Baines can play 28 minutes with 0 points, 0 rebounds. It doesn't get mentioned by Nick Nurse. So it's weird how much
Tony Snell. Don't forget. That's
exactly. It's weird how hard Nick Nurse has been on Boucher when he's been a 6th man of the year candidate, and all of a sudden you're just talking trash about him when you're playing him out of position at the 5 anyway, and you're complaining that he's not rebounding. Like, what do you want? He's 6'10" and weighs 23 pounds. What do you expect?
Yeah, right. What do you think, Dan? Is Jonas right? It's Boucher, and then everybody else?
Boucher's number 1. I'll go Noel 2, and then I'll put those other 2 guys in a distant bucket. I think I'll go Wendell Carter Jr. over Roby just because maybe he grabs that spot. Yeah, I mean, Boucher's just not going to play 30 minutes a night. That's not going to be his total number, and that's fine. I get a lot of is he a drop now? I'm like, no, he's not a drop just because he isn't as good as he was. He's still doing okay. He's just not top 25 anymore. Now he's maybe more like 75 to 90 range. Either way, you have a guy you should be starting in fantasy, and he is, significantly ahead of those other clowns, other than Noel, who I do like.
Right.
But not as much in points leagues.
Last one from Adam again. I like that he's firing these ones at you guys. Final one: Fournier or Norm Powell for the rest of the season. Dan, what do you got there?
Easily Norm for me. Yeah.
What was Fournier like 0 for 10 the other night? What was that terrible line that he had?
That's called a Westbrook second half, by the way. I'm throwing both today, man.
Dan's in it to win it today. I like that. Yeah.
I go right from this to doing my own show, so I gotta get the piss and vinegar going.
This is Powell. This is Powell for you too, Jonas.
Yeah, it's very clear for me. Powell's been one of the best shooting guards in the NBA this season. He's going to get paid a lot of money this summer.
Yeah, and I know, Jonas, you got to go, so we are going to end it there. Follow us all on Twitter at Jonas Nader from NBC Sports Edge. And what do you have going on over there? More AMAs on Tuesdays, right?
Yeah, but I'm going to switch gears here and promote our new app. We have a new app that actually launched today, so I'm very excited about it. Yeah, it looks very clean. It's been a year since we've had an app, so this is very exciting. So it looks really, really good. I should have known
it was coming. I saw you guys tweet out. Wasn't it cool when we had an app? And I was like, why would you tweet that if you don't have one right now? So it's coming. It came out today, then, huh?
Yeah, it looks really good. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Dan, what at Dan Bespris on the Twitter machine? What's going on at Hoopball?
Oh, I don't know. There's so many things happening. We our gaming division diving into baseball these days, which is kind of cool. Shout out to Devin and Blake for putting together a all 30 team baseball futures bet primer. That's pretty cool. That's over at Hoopball Gaming. So check out that wing of our operation. And then yeah, my Twitter feed is right there on the screen. It's at Dan Bespris for those listening. DanBesbris. Everything else I do is through there, even though things have gotten so busy that I can't reply to everyone anymore. I'm very sorry about that. I did it for as long as I could, but I'm still going to try, damn it. So, yeah, give me a follow. I'll keep everybody abreast of what's going on over there.
All right. Follow me on Twitter at Bogman Sports. Check out patreon.com/ITL Army. Got a lot of baseball going on because opening day just started for baseball yesterday. So we got a lot of that going on. Of course, still doing basketball here with the Real Big Three. And I think that's everything, boys. We will see you guys next week. Take it easy. Have a great weekend, everybody.